Hi, I'm Gwendolyn with Wine.com, and I am here to guide you through the wine tasting trio for Syrah. This is one of our discovery kits where you're able to taste 3 distinct styles of one grape variety. In this case, it is Syrah, also known as Shiraz. So you can watch this video either before you decide to taste the wines, while you're tasting the wines, or even after you've tasted the wines. I'm just going to kind of highlight some of the differences, where they're grown, how they're made, and maybe some of the flavor profiles you're going to be looking for. I encourage you to use this tasting map that comes with the kit. If you can taste each wine side by side, have a different glass, preferably the same size and shape for each wine. That'll help you kind of go back and forth so you're more able to pinpoint what you're enjoying, what you might not enjoy, and kind of see all the differences because sometimes they're a little bit subtle. So Syrah and Shiraz are the same grape variety. Australians call it Shiraz, whereas most of the rest of the world does call it Syrah. This is one of the older grapes. It's been around forever, and it's known for having a very full body, sometimes a peppery spice, sometimes a really ripe, jammy fruit note, but always really good backbone and flavor. So the spectrum we're trying is spicy, savory, and jammy. The first wine we're going to delve into comes from the Rhone Valley, one of the coolest regions that Syrah is grown. This is the Northern Rhone Valley Crozes Hermitage. It's from Guigal, one of the top producers of the area. And this is one of the, like I said, the coolest climate that Syrah is grown in. And so oftentimes because of that, rather than getting really ripe fruits, you're gonna get a lot more of the black pepper spice that comes through on Syrah. So give your wine a swirl. You want to release all the aromas in that glass. And on the nose, you're going to get that peppery spice, which is the idea, as well as some kind of tart, fresh black fruits, black cherry. Give it a good swish around your mouth so you can get all the texture and flavor components going. You've got great tannin here. And a lot of that peppery spice and a little bit of earth undertones, almost like a tobacco note. This is very typical kind of Crozes Hermitage. You've got a peppery, spicy note, but also some really fresh black fruits going on. So that is our spicy wine. Moving on to savory, we go to Washington State, which has been increasing its plantings of Syrah because it's doing so well there. It's definitely warm, so warm enough climate to grow the grape. This is from L'Ecole 41, and this is a fantastic winery up in Washington State. They make a lot of different varieties and they do very well. So this is their Columbia Valley Syrah. And what we're looking for here is sometimes Syrah gives off a little bit of a savory, smoky note to it, as well as those really ripe black fruits. So in this, yes, there's a little bit of ripe blackberry. There's actually some plum, some really ripe plum, and then kind of a smoky undertone going through that gives it a savory characteristic. Also a lot of good baking spice. So on the palate, you can definitely tell that this wine got a lot more heat and sun than this one because the grapes are riper. They're a little bit fuller bodied there, but you have that wonderful kind of smoky, savory undertone going through that matches that really lovely ripe fruit. So that is Washington State. We're moving on to what we term jammy, which really just means that it's kind of like the fruit is so wonderfully ripe that it's almost baked in style. So this comes from Australia, comes to the Barossa Valley, and this is the Torbreck Woodcutter Shiraz. Torbreck, like L'Ecole, like Guigal, makes a lot of different wines, and this is one of my favorites. It's absolutely delicious. So swirling this wine, you get a lot of that kind of baked fruit, some vanilla spice, and what's kind of unique to Australia, a mint eucalyptus note that comes through, which is really quite pleasing. So brambly, baked fruit, just really ripe, all sorts of different things going on here. And on the palate, ripe, rich, very full-bodied, but also with really good structure and tannins. And then that eucalyptus and mint thing comes through on the end, which is kind of uniquely Australian. So that is our jammy style of Syrah. In Australia, we call it Syrahs. These are the three wines that we've put on the Syrahs spectrum here. And if you particularly enjoy one or another, you can find a list of very similar wines on the Tasting Trio page. We give you a link for that. But I hope you've enjoyed and kind of discovered a little bit about Syrah and the differences that come along depending on where it's grown. Thank you for tasting with us, and cheers.